What's up, nerds? I'm Wes.
I'm Tom.
We're here back with Bushido, this time the full production copy. Here's our thoughts.
Obviously, the reason why we say that is we actually did a full playthrough, how to play, and Kickstarter preview for this game back when it was on Kickstarter. I know the designer a little bit. I played this game back even before it was on Kickstarter, back when it was real, prototype of just like we're rolling D6s and we had, what numbers, a graph written out. So I've been a little bit a part of Bushido for like 2 years now, kind of. So you might think, well, you're biased, guys. Why would you talk about it now? Well, hey, you may think that, but we have good things and bad things to say about the game. So, hey, stick around. Honest review time. Let's do it.
As with all of our reviews, we're going to give our honest opinion. You guys should know that by now. So
that's why you subscribed. And you've never been bored while you subscribe, too.
Hey, that's like our tagline.
It's a thing.
So Bushido is a 1v1 dice combat game where you each take on the role of a samurai, and you are playing cards, and those cards give you dice, and then you roll those dice, and that says what damage you're dealing. The tricky part comes out, the unique part is that it's not like, oh, I have 7 hits, that's 7 damage. That means you move your marker to the 7th slot, and then you take damage at the end of your own turn. So I'm going to do that damage to Tom, he's going to take his whole turn, and at the end of that turn, whatever damage is left, he's going to take. And there's a lot of ways that you can mitigate that damage or block it or die.
Right. And it's really crazy because your hits go from 0 over to 10, but the death starts at 5. It's just, and I like how there's the painting behind it that's just like blood, 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 more blood, 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 super blood. Look at how dead this guy is.
Yeah. And it's not like 1 damage, 2 damage. It's 1 damage, 3 damage, 6 damage, 10 damage dead. So that ramps up super fast. So blocking 1 hit could be like getting rid of 3 or 4 damage. Right. So it's definitely every single tick you can move it down is significant.
But until you get towards the end, though, because 9 times out of 10, if somebody can, unless they just got evades, because there's a difference between, so you roll blue die to try and be defensive, but you can, and they have evades on them, you spend that die to move, the hit marker down. But you can also get armor tokens that you can spend, and they're a bit more of like a precious resource, because a lot of times they can even trigger off of some cards to do more damage or get you special effects. So you may not want to spend those. So I've seen a lot of games where people, I do a bunch of hit damage to you, or getting those words mixed up. I do a bunch of hits to you. Well, you block a bunch of those hits, but you still take at least that 1 because you really don't want to spend an armor token just to get rid of 1 damage. Mm-hmm. So at least the game isn't a big stalemate. You're ticking each other down little by little as the game progresses.
There's also cards that you could play that just do damage, not hits. Like there's stuff like you had one that's like every armor token you spend deals a damage. So that was perfect when I just done a whole bunch of hits against him. He's going to spend all his armor tokens. It just does damage to me. I can't block it or anything. It just brings me down.
It's just direct. Yes. And actually, so I know we're kind of going all over the place here. But so the way it works is you have a weapon that you pick, which is kind of like your special ability, and it actually has like 3 special abilities based on the guard you are in. And the guard is high guard, mid guard, and low guard. Really, attack is high guard, defense is low guard, and mid guard is
kind of balanced.
I don't really know. Yeah. And then you draft these cards. We have a big deck of cards with all these different schools on them, the different colors, and they kind of do different things, and they have different, the red school is going to have a lot of red dice. The green school is going to have a lot of green dice. Oh, that's the Rising Rage.
It's actually an expansion of the green dice is.
Yeah, the box is all the way up there.
It's up there. We should get it.
How are we going to get it?
It's so high.
Rising Rage is where the green dice come in, so that we'll talk about that in more detail. But anyways, the cards have specific schools that work in a different way, work in a specific way. But the important thing is when you go to play them, you can boost them. I don't know if you said this already. You can boost them by playing another card of the same school, so you get an additional die of whatever color you want. So that draft is a pretty big deal of not just trying to get good cards, you're trying to get balanced cards. You don't want to just get a bunch of attack and then have no way to defend.
Well, you might.
You might, but you might get screwed over. And if the dice don't roll your way and then you can't defend, And then, you also don't want to just get one card from every different school because then you'll pretty much never be able to do a boost.
There's also all the tokens you can gain, the rage tokens, the Torii tokens, and the armor tokens. When you gain them, they go into your holding area because you can't use them the same round that you gain them. And you also are limited to the number of armor/Torii tokens that you can store. So if I gain a bunch of armor tokens, I may say, okay, well, I've got 3 armor tokens over here. I only have 3 slots I can store armor tokens. I need to make sure if I want those, I need to spend out all these here so it's not wasted. And then the rage tokens, I mean, you can have as many as you want of those, but you still can't use them the same round you get them.
And actually, they give these awesome little half...
Circle?
But they're like... It almost looks like a piece of punch board that like you accidentally punched out that you were supposed to throw away.
Yeah.
But what it does is it lines up perfectly to cover up because your token limit can be 4, but it could be 3 or 2 depending on the weapon that you get. Mm-hmm. So that is probably my first complaint with the game is going to be that it actually has a little bit of, not a little bit, kind of a big learning curve. They're like, I mean, you'll get it after your first game or two and be like, oh, I realize this is what I should be doing. But like, you'll have a plethora of options with all the weapons and all these cards come out. You're drafting cards, and the draft is a big deal. And then when you go to play them, you want to know when to change your guard to pick your cards back up and stuff. So your first game, you're going to kind of get clobbered a little bit. And I guess that's another thing to note that with this game is that clobbered is a big deal. Not a big deal. It happens a lot.
Yeah.
But it doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to take a huge damage. It doesn't mean that like, oh, round 1 dead. It means it's going to be like, I do a bunch of damage to you. No, you don't. I blocked it. I do a bunch of damage to you. No, you don't. I blocked it. Like it's a big lot of swing.
But you can very much get into like I'm attacking you a lot. You're defending a lot. Well, now because you defended a lot, I don't have a lot of damage, so I can just attack you a lot again. Mm-hmm. So it may get to that point where you may want to go to mid-guard so you can do kind of block some and attack some, or do something to try to get out of that where like maybe you do accept some damage, but you have to go on the offensive or else they're just going to keep pummeling you and you're never going to be able to hit back.
And I think it's because of that, there's a lot of that, again, I did a bunch of damage. No, I didn't. Yes, you did. No, I didn't. Mm-hmm. Yes, did. Rabbit season, duck season, where there's a lot of times in this game where you'll be like, your opponent will do a big card combo and you'll go, I hate this game. And then there's a lot of times in this game where you'll play a bunch of cards and you go, yeah, so much.
I do feel like, and probably my biggest complaint with this game, though, is that there are so many games where you do get clobbered, where the game lasts 5 minutes because they just did a really heavy hit against you and you couldn't make up for it. Because there's a lot of, like, if you roll the little temple card, the Torii,
yeah.
If it's a red Torii, you can, instead of getting your Torii token, you can roll 2 more red dice right now. Yeah. And that can expound. It's kind of like the exploding dice. You can just keep doing that ad nauseum.
Well, you are limited to the dice. The number of dice is your limit.
Okay, so not forever, but you can, and they can all be hits.
Right.
And it's like almost impossible to defend against. And actually, my first time playing this with Pedro the designer, he, like, round 2, like, he played against me, I did him, and he was like, you're dead. Yeah. And I've played quite a few games like that where...
And obviously, he knows what he's doing, so, right?
Yeah, but I have played a lot of games where it is over like that. Like...
But in general, the game isn't that, like, okay, if it wasn't over like that and you went the whole length of the game, it'd be what, 15 minutes? Yeah. Like, the games are short enough to where you can play 3 or 4 or 5 games back to back to back, and it's not a big deal.
It's kind of like Magic in that you don't just sit down and play a round of this. It's like, hey, let's play Bushido for a little bit, and kind of, I die, you die, I'm going to try defensive, I'm going to try this new weapon, and kind of go back and forth, play with it. And again, the deck of cards that you draft is significant, such that you can play a bunch of games and never see, like, the same physical card. There's duplicates of some cards, but you can have a variety between what weapon you pick and what guard you started and what color you drafted and what cards in that color you drafted.
Especially because, there's actually an extra school in here from when we played with the prototype, an extra whole color, and plus the Rising Rage adds the green cards, which adds a whole, and the green, so I said we were going to get to this. Rising Rage is cool. I always just like having more stuff, but I have to be honest that the green dice aren't all that exciting. They may be useful, but they're actually more balanced than the gray dice, I think, because they have a blank, they have 2 hits, they have an evade and an armor, And they have this fist is you can get a rage token, which you can spend later to add a red dice to your attack. So while again they may be useful, and I mean I'll play a couple green. I'll add it and I'll play a couple green cards every once in a while, but it's not like, oh, we're playing with the greens? Oh, yeah, those are so cool.
Yeah.
It's just like, oh, hey, look, I got some more stuff.
Great.
More stuff.
Overall, I do really enjoy Bushido. Once you get, like, it's a quick game, it can get a little wacky, you can get crushed round 1 or 2, or you could go back and forth for a long time. Like, it depends on the game, and if you get crushed really quick, great. That means that you had a good warm-up, and you can set it up again and do it again really quickly. I love the component quality, the fact that you each have your own player boards that are like really well laid out. There's space for everything. There's the cutouts for your tokens, and like we were talking about the half moons that like block off, so it's really easy to remember. You can't oh crap, I wasn't supposed to get this many tokens.
The art is great. Everything about this is wonderful.
Yeah, I absolutely love this game for a head-to-head combat game, and there's a lot of those, but I love that style of game. You know, we used to play a lot of Magic and stuff. We play a lot of Star Realms and 1v1 deck
But
builders.
I like how compact it is. Like Magic and LCGs and even games like Sorcerer, they can not they're so expansion heavy that like you, before sitting down, you have like all these different options.
What are we going to play with? Are we going to play with all this? Or are we going to add that in?
You want to play with it? Do you want to, build a deck beforehand? And here, I mean, granted, you do need to know the cards, but you just need to know the cards, these cards. You know what I mean?
And even you just need to kind of know the idea of what's out there. You don't need to be intimately familiar with every card that's available.
Yeah.
You just need to like have a basic understanding of what kind of thing you want while you're drafting. Because again, you may not see half the cards. When you're drafting, you only pick from the 4 or 5 cards that are available to you. So you just need to be able to like look at those 5 really quick and go from there.
So obviously, Neverboard Gaming highly recommends that you check out Bushido 2-player dice. If you like any of what we were talking about here, go ahead and click on the link that we put in the purchase.
And while you're down there in the description box, clicking on the purchase link to get yourself a copy of this game, make sure you subscribe to our channel so you'll never be bored. Oh, should I get my samurai sword?
No. Don't. Seriously, don't. He's going.
Hi!